Welcome to the Rotary Club of York. We are a people of action committed to service above self and honoring the four-way test. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment to silence your cell phone. Cal Weary will lead us in our opening song, the Star Spangled Banner, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm sorry, I was like, who? Eric Chase will offer the invocation, and Glenn Smith will introduce our visitors.
Rotarians, please join me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you prepare yourself in a way you're most accustomed to prayer? Deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but those who plan for peace have joy. God, our Creator, we come before you this afternoon and we thank you and we ask for blessings on this meeting of Rotary. We ask for blessings upon the food and the hands that have prepared it. We also ask for blessings on the servant leadership of our police commissioner and speaker today, who is planning for peace. We pray for peace in our world, especially in Ukraine, and for the war-torn communities there. We pray for peace in our country. We pray for peace in our state, and we pray for peace in our city. And may we continue to serve above ourselves as we're called in this work of service and servant leadership in Rotary. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Good afternoon. It's now my pleasure to introduce the guests for our club today. When I call your name, please stand up and please remain standing until President Jackie has an opportunity to welcome you today. Tyler Burkholder, guest of Austin Schenk. Cynthia Donnelly, guest of Tom Donnelly. John Langle, guest of Austin Schenk. Dan Lentz, guest of Commissioner Muldrow. Josh Gill, guest of Daniel May. Randy Parker, guest of past President Gordon Freirick. Katia Parks, guest of past President Gordon Freirick. Joyce Santiago, guest of Eric Chase. Cora Taylor, guest of Annie Rowitz. Madeline Torres Ocasio, guest of Joan Mummert. Marvin King, guest of Austin Schenk. Reggie Wilson, guest of Austin Schenk. All right, you almost got a table. Keep it up. All right. Diaz Woodward, guest of Commissioner Muldrow. Angie Garrison, guest of Matt Favley. Stacy Damon, guest of Laura Nielsen. And Kevin Shively, guest of past President Brian Tate.
Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. It's great to see so many great faces and guests. We hope that you find this program to be very uplifting, informative, and that it'll motivate you. So Rotarians, please help me welcome our visitors. We want to say a special welcome to Charlie Snyder, who has been in and out of the hospital a few times, and he is with us today. Finally, thank you on the mend. Good to see you, Charlie. We have an update on Jan Wogemuth, who had a terrible time and was in the hospital for several weeks now, and is finally recuperating at Apple Hill. So we continue to send well wishes to Jan's family. I also want to say a special thank you to the members of Preserve Planet Earth who take the time sort of behind the scenes to get the Welcome to York Garden ready to go for the season. And if you've noticed, the fountain is back up and running. So I want to thank all of those people who take the time out of their very busy schedules to make that fountain area so beautiful. Thank you so much. I want to say a special congratulations to past President Ann Druck, President of United Way, in the celebration of a successful campaign for United Way. Their celebration is this evening at the Valencia at 5 p.m. Well done, Ann. Congratulations. The membership committee is planning to meet today at 1:30 in the Mixed Grill. On April 8th, there will be a networking event at Hollywood Casino at Galleria Mall from 12 to 1 p.m. We already have about 24 people signed up, but if you're interested, you can reach out to past President Rob Bowen. This Saturday, April 9th at 8 a.m., the Preserve Planet Earth Committee is planting 23 trees in York City, and we're still in need of about 6 more volunteers. It is a great fellowship opportunity, and with ample volunteers, the planning goes very, very quickly. So if you'd like to volunteer, please RSVP to past President Al Sykes. The Preserve Planet Earth Committee is also planning to meet on April 13th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. The York County Elections Office is seeking poll workers for the May 17th primary, and any registered voter in York County is eligible so long as you're not an elected official. Anyone interested needs to sign up for a brief training, and all poll workers will be compensated for up to $175. You can look for more information in this week's announcer, and you can also reach out to President, Commissioner, and Rotarian Julie Wheeler. We are continuing to raise funds for the Ukrainian relief effort. Next week is the deadline for those gifts, and I'll be looking forward to announcing to you our progress for that effort. And now it is time for our member moment. Andy Rowitz came to America in 1948, but the path to get here was wrought with hardship. When he was a boy in Warsaw, his city was in the middle of the Polish uprising against Nazi invasion. In 6 weeks, 300,000 people were killed, and nearly 90% of his city was destroyed, many of his relatives among them. His father flew for the Polish Air Force and then became wing commander in the Royal Air Force fighting in the Battle of Britain. Andy's mother was a nurse who served in the Resistance Army in Warsaw. At the age of 10, Andy began running information to the Home Army behind barricades amid bullets, bombs, shells, and snipers, and somehow he survived, but only to be captured by the Nazis and put on a train to Auschwitz. Days later, the train was stopped near Krakow, and his crowded cattle car was rescued by the Home Army. Andy and his mother escaped Poland, making their way into Czechoslovakia and eventually reuniting with his father in Great Britain. A few years later, they moved to America to be closer to Andy's uncle in Ohio. Andy studied engineering at the University of Dayton and later earned an MBA from Xavier University. Upon graduation, he worked for Playtex, and then he went on to Matchbox Toy Cars in operations and quality control. He also completed 8 years with the U.S. Air Force Reserves. One of his proudest career moments was the development of a treatment process that helps trees grow faster. He moved to York in 1970 to work as GM of a company before starting his first business. Today, he owns D&M Marketing. Not ready to retire, Andy considers himself a workaholic who enjoys the productivity of work life. After the death of his first wife, he met Elizabeth, a former Polish ballerina who he was married to for 20 years before her death. They kept an apartment in Warsaw where they spent their summers traveling around Europe. He has 5 children, 12 grandchildren, 3 of them with upcoming weddings, and you often see him here with his friend Cora from Canada. Andy first joined Rotary in 1964 in Delaware and has been a member of our club for more than 52 years. He has served on several committees, including youth exchange and membership. He loves the 4-way test and everything about Rotary, especially the wonderful people he's met. Andy, you are a very brave young man. We are so grateful to know your story, and we thank you for being a proud member of Rotary all these years. And now Eric Menser with a York Revolution offsite reminder.
All right, I'm back, and I'm back with my trusty baseball, and it is not just here to torment President Jackie. That's a side benefit. The real reason it's here is that this is a very special baseball, but I am not going to tell you why. If you want to find out why, you need to come to People's Bank Park on April 20th at noon for our annual preseason Rotary York Revolution meeting. Atlantic League President Rick White will be with us again this year. He will tell you why this is a special baseball. I'll tell you about all the other great things going on with the Revolution and at People's Bank Park this summer. And our manager, Mark Mason, will again be there to introduce this year's York Revolution team. So again, that's the 20th of April. We'll be in the 1741 Club presented by UPMC back indoors this year. And as you can see on the screen, the reservation deadline is next Wednesday at about the time of this meeting. So we look forward to seeing you all there. Thanks.
Thank you, Eric. I had to sit on my hands just to be on the safe side. And now Leanne Wilson has a Preserve Planet Earth special announcement.
I have good news. I am not up here to request funding or tree planting, although as you just heard, we could still use volunteers on Saturday. What we want is your garbage, specifically your plastic garbage. Next week, we're going to hear from Ross Gibby of CRDC Global. They're a new business here in York that is taking plastic waste and turning it into a product that goes into concrete. That building material then is just as strong as concrete, but a lot lighter and has a huge environmental appeal. As I've learned, typically plastics number 1 and 2 are the ones that are valuable to turn into new plastic. And sadly, the rest may go into the landfill or burned for energy. CRDC takes it all, including styrofoam. And you don't even have to get all the peanut butter out from the jar or the oil off of your take-home containers. So next week, we're going to be having these green bags at the tables that you can start collecting your plastic garbage. We're going to have a collection here on June 1st, right here in the lower parking lot, where you'll be able to pull up to the York Water Company truck. Thank you, JT. Pop your car truck open. PPE members will take it out of the green bags out of your car. You come drive up and attend the meeting. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible for Rotarians to be of action and help preserve planet Earth. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne. That is awesome. Looking forward to that. And now past President Josh George with a new member induction.
Thank you, President Jackie. And like Eric, I'm back too. That's a good thing, I think. Well, actually, it's good that he's here, maybe not me. You can decide for yourself on that one. So today I would like to introduce you to a new member of our club. His name is Bruce Newell. This is Bruce. Bruce is originally from the Pittsburgh area. He is a graduate of Penn Trafford High School, and he went on to earn his BS in accounting from IUP and then an MBA from Pitt. Locally here, he is the president and CEO of Mantech. And if you haven't had a chance to meet him yet, hopefully you will get a chance to do that very soon. His community service includes he is a board member of the York County Economic Alliance. He is a board member of Junior Achievement of South Central PA. He's an advisory committee member of the York County School of Technology, and he's also a past board chair at the Penn Trafford School District, where he served for many years on the school board. His hobbies include skiing, hiking, boating, water skiing, scuba diving, and reading. He is married to Heather, and they will be celebrating 29 years together here coming up in a month or two. And they have two children, Kendra, who is 22, and Brooke, who is 20. And he is a previous Rotarian. He was a member of the Rotary Club of Norwin out in the Pittsburgh area. And his proposer is Aaron Jacobs. Ladies and gentlemen, Bruce Newell.
Welcome, Bruce. We're so glad that you're here. We say this to all of our new members. Your fulfillment in Rotary is really directly tied to how involved you become in the club. And we encourage you to look into the many, many offerings of committees that we have available. I also encourage all of our committee chairs to reach out to the new members, ask Becky or Lynn for a listing of who they are, so that you can make a personal invitation for them to come and check out what you're doing in your important committees. There are two committees who are in great need today for members to join them. The Communications Committee manages the club's website, promotes club activities on social media, and sends press releases to local media, as well as assists with the live streaming of our weekly hybrid meetings. Before the pandemic, they were always meeting in person for happy hour at 4 o'clock at First Post, and they're going to start resuming that again, as that is a good incentive for you new members. They are an awful lot of fun. It is co-chaired by Courtney Piccolo and by Chris Toff. If you could please stand, as well as members of the Communications Committee, could you please stand so that new members can see who you are and perhaps want to stop you and ask you some questions about your committee. You can see they need new members. That's how it works. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Love that. You said you had me at First Post. The Youth Exchange Committee is also looking for members to serve on their committee, and there is an immediate need for inbound counselors. You know, it's really not a heavy lift. We have 2 students who will be coming into the country in August, and so we need a counselor who will be working with them. Youth Exchange has had a significant impact on our students leaving the country to go experience other countries, as well as those students who are traveling inbound to our country. I served on that committee. I served in the role of an inbound counselor for a student from Denmark. And I have to tell you, Gita had an incredible year with us that year that she was here. And I have to say, I think it was just as meaningful for me as it was for Gita. You often hear members talk about Youth Exchange students having an everlasting imprint on their hearts, and I think that's really true. Walt Tilley is chair of that committee. He is here. I'm going to ask Walt to please stand, and I'd also like any members of the Youth Exchange Committee who are here to please stand as well. So again, new members can see who you are and will approach you and ask you questions about the incredible work that you're doing in this committee. If you're interested, you can talk to any of them about what that means. And I have to guarantee you it's very fulfilling. So thank you so much. And now our Rotary Foundation Chair, Bill Hartman, has several Paul Harris Fellows to present.
Thank you, President Jackie. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. The reason I can't say that I'm back is that I never left. And the reason I never left is because of your generosity. I'm just thrilled that we have so many generous givers to the foundation that we have to keep spreading the awards over various meetings. And the couple of new Paul Harris Fellow recognitions we are going to be making today are actually 16. Which is stellar. And I wanted to tell you, it was great that we had the meeting on the 23rd where I gave you some good news about our performance. And I want to give you some good news from out of Evanston. I was on the phone yesterday with the people at the Rotary Foundation International in Evanston, and they told me to convey to you how pleased they are with the performance of our club as it relates to the foundation. They gave me all kinds of metrics and pretty graphs and all that sort of stuff that I'm not going to take agenda time because Lynn tells me I already take too much of that in the first place. But I am going to review all that with our committee tomorrow afternoon. But one metric I'm going to share with you today is one they gave me yesterday that they told me impresses them most. And that is through February, which is actually only 8 months of the 12-month Rotary calendar. Through February, we have 12 Paul Harris Society eligible individuals. That means through 8 months, we've had individuals who have given $1,000 or more to the foundation. And according to them, we've never had that for a full year, let alone for 8 months. So that's just a terrific metric. Now, to become a Paul Harris Society member, you need to make a commitment to give $1,000 a year. So we have 12 people who are eligible to do that. We currently have 6 of our members that are Paul Harris Society members. So I'd like to invite the other 6 to join us, and please see me if you would be interested in doing that. So I will now, in order, give the recognition to the new contributors. I'm going to start off with John Eister. This is his first Paul Harris Fellow, and we're thrilled that he is stepping up to do that. So please come up when I call your name, and President Jackie will present your award. Phil Woods is also a first-time Paul Harris Fellow. We're happy to have that. We have 16 people, so I don't have time to say something nice about everyone. I'll just say something nice about all of our 16 OTRs. Todd Geddes, Paul Harris Fellow +1. Is Todd here? Don't see him. George Hummel, a Paul Harris Fellow +1. Jim May, Paul Harris Fellow +1. Tom Donnelly, Paul Harris Fellow +2. Ashley Etzweiler, Paul Harris Fellow +2. Roger Calabretta, Paul Harris Fellow +3. Bill Hunter, Paul Harris Fellow +3. President Jackie Summers, Paul Harris Fellow +3. Can you pin yourself, Jackie? Okay. If not, Eric will throw you a baseball. Sarah Austin, Paul Harris Fellow +4. Jacob Miller, Paul Harris Fellow +4. John Olkowski is not here, but we will present his Paul Harris +4 award in absentia. Past President Mike Summers, Paul Harris +4. Sam Willman, Paul Harris +5. And James Anderson Jr., Paul Harris Fellow +7. I can't wait for the next meeting. Let's give these outstanding true Rotarians a round of applause.
Well, that was fun. Wow, that's great. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you all so much for your generosity. Great to have so many Paul Harris Fellows in our club. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Steve Baker, who will introduce our program.
Hi, everyone. Before I introduce today's program, I also have the honor to introduce what we are going to be doing for Give Local York this year. We're a month out, but no time to start too soon. You know, this club has been involved with Give Local York since its inception, so this will be our 5th year. And that's a lot to be proud of. It's unique for a Rotary Club to pick a community project each year and raise money for that. And we've really made some magic happen over the years. We have our Sergeant Khan, the beautiful and intelligent drug dog. We have retooled and made Kiwanis Lake a beautiful place in the center of the city. This year, I'm really excited to talk about the project and introduce our speakers because we are going to touch the lives of the City of York youth. Most of us today here have children and grandkids and nieces and nephews, and those kids are so fortunate because they have a safe school to learn in, they have safe neighborhoods to grow and explore in, and if they have a special interest, we have the resources to enroll them in that dance class or that soccer camp, or give them music lessons. This year, we're going to give that opportunity to all the kids in the City of York. Our Give Local York project, which Commissioner Muldrow will talk about, is going to be a new facility. And with our $30,000 that we hope to raise through Give Local York, Rotary Club will have a naming opportunity. We'll actually be able to name the gym where the kids will be doing a lot of their activities in this new facility. So that's something to be really excited about. We have 2 speakers today. First, I'm going to introduce Kate Harmon. She is the Give Day coordinator for Give Local York, but she's been a volunteer with Give Local York since day 1. You may know her from her time at the Hanover Evening Sun and the York Daily Record. She's also been involved in York nonprofits, including the York Day Nursery and Dream Rights. In her off time, she runs York-based events such as What the Food Trucks and Restaurant Week, and acts as general cheerleader for York. Our York City Police Commissioner, Michael Muldrow, will present his plan for this newly approved Reprogram York initiative, be a therapeutic community engagement center for the youth and families in the City of York. Commissioner Muldrow is a proud advocate for York, a champion for youth, and has a longstanding presence over 22 years in the local law enforcement community, serving in leadership for the past 12 years, first at the City of York School District and for the past 1.5 years with the York City Police Department. He says his best attributes are and have always been his ability to relate to people, his drive, his positive outlook, and creative, non-traditional approach to problem solving, which I think will be very evident when we hear his vision for this new facility. Right.
All right, thank you, everybody. My name is Kate, like Dee just said. Who in here has donated before to Give Local York? Sweet, I'm done then. Have a good May 6th. So thank you. We are celebrating our 5th birthday this year on first Friday in May 6th. Please mark your calendars if you haven't already done so. We have over 280 nonprofits participating in our 24 hours of online giving. And just to give you a little bit of a background about Give Local York, we really started with a handful of nonprofit leaders who had an idea and said, why not York? And many of those nonprofit leaders are in this room. And so we tried it and we raised over $1 million in our first year. Fast forward to last year, we had over $3.7 million going right back into the community in York County. This year, our 5th birthday, our goal is to raise more than last year. I'm not going to say anything specific, but it's our 5th year. So if we can get to a certain number, I'd be really grateful. But we are happy to be a part of the community and to be supporting of so many nonprofits. We are very excited. I'm really just the opener for my friend, Michael Muldrow. Who's going to tell you a little bit about the project you guys are supporting. But please make sure to check out all of the nonprofits on our website, givelocalyork.org, and come back with your credit card to donate on May 6th. All right, thank you.
this down a little bit for obvious reasons. Good afternoon, everybody. Get myself adjusted here. Apologies. Okay, so I would like to start off by first introducing the two guests that I have with me today. We have Diaz Woodard, if you could please stand for me. Diaz Woodard is currently for the city of York. He is the coordinator of the city's park activities and recreation initiatives. And as part of this program, he is the architect of many of the activities that will take place inside of the engagement center. And he will also serve as the program director for the engagement center moving forward. So thank you, Diaz. Also with me today, if you can stand up, is Lieutenant Dan Lentz. This young man is currently my chief of staff. He is my right hand and oftentimes my left hand. He is also the public relations liaison for my department. And with respect to this project, he will actually serve as the project manager for the build, helping to get it across the line. So thank you, Dan Lentz. I introduced them first because as we get to the point at the end, if you have any questions, I will be calling these two young men up to the stage with me because they will answer them. I just kind of get people's attention. So thank you again for having me today. As everyone has seen for over the course of my first year and a half here with the police department, we have been committed, the police department has been committed to participating in youth and family engagement, particularly really focusing on working with kids, working with our youth. And the reason, oops, something happened, I lost it. There we go. And the reason we focus that way, the reason why we spend so much effort on our young people is abundantly clear. And it's one of the first reasons why we're here today. And we look at it from a philosophical standpoint. I believe that Frederick Douglass said it best, that it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Reason number two, a recent study conducted as part of our GVI partnership with John Jay College, GVI being our strategic partner in our fight against group and gun violence here in the city of York, found that nearly 50% of all of the city's shooting and gun violence is actually perpetrated by young people 14 to 21 years old. Lastly, you need only look at the yearly crime data here in York to see that there's a consistent spike in calls and crime and disorderly occurrences between the hours of 3:30 and 10 p.m. So we can conclude from these three things alone that our best chance of dramatically impacting this community, i.e. continuing to drive down crime statistics, strengthening our families, improving our neighborhood environment, changing the impressions and perceptions of this community, and increasing business and with it property ownership can be found in devoting time, energy, resources to supporting our youth, supporting our young people. So we want to leverage this department's ability and the platform that I have to create partnerships in order to create a safe space to do just that. Help occupy the idle hands and minds of our kids, encourage those weary, traumatized hearts of our youth, and serve as a free resource to strengthen struggling families. A little bit about the program itself, a little bit about the Engagement Center. The Community Engagement Center is going to be so much more than just an after-school program or after-school programming. Simply put, think Police Athletic League, anybody that's familiar with the PAL associations that function in bigger cities, or what the original JCC when it was on Market Street used to be, as I speak to my parents and grandparents. This center is going to take a page from the past and represent free access to opportunity for our kids, a place for engaging kids and community through the positive pursuits that they're actually interested in, and approaching that engagement on a Maslow's hierarchy level. And we want to do that by offering free space to a variety of up and coming programs and young talented providers. Individuals like Russie LeBoy, who will be there offering teaching culinary classes, Kat Rossum and her sought after dance program, LaQuinn Thompson with video gaming and technology, and our very own Cal Weary with his expertise with respect to performing arts. Because as the teams at York High recently told us, and I never miss an opportunity to say it, when we sat down with them, they let us know that there's plenty of parks and places to go play basketball, but not all of us dribble. So with this space, we want to allow this to serve as a platform for continuing engagement, supporting community offerings like Scouts, and facilitating our department outreach initiatives that you've already seen us get involved in, like the commissioners, like my monthly community forum, our up and coming cadet program, the youth job fairs that we've been able to host, the Safe Camp program that we ran for years past that through the school district, the Thanksgiving Plate Patrol meal drive, and many more, just to name a few. Then using that attractive space that kids and young people and families want to come to provide them with supportive things that they actually need, such as positive voices, supportive mentors, homework help and tutoring, healthy meals, access to wellness checks, computers and free computers and internet access, library access for research and studying, laundry services, infusing character education like focusing on conflict resolution skills, mandatory counseling and therapy elements, life coaching, and career guidance, which we're looking to Rotary to be a part of participating in. So you hear all that and understand that I carry a gun and I wear a badge. A lot of people in the room may ask, what's in it for us? Well, beyond the obvious aforementioned reasons about driving down crime statistics, making people feel better about their environment and their neighborhoods, and increasing home ownership, and being a part of that, being a catalyst for creating all of that, we want to get into this business selfishly. And selfishly speaking, once this space comes to life, it'll immediately create a meeting point for our officers to take off our uniforms and connect with kids and community. And that will translate into relationship promoting community buy-in for the things that we do, the things that we ask, the things that we say, and the things that we want to see. Relationship increasing trust on both sides. Relationship that will equal opening better lines of communication. Relationship improving our ability to investigate and solve crime. And relationship continuing to enhance the department's image, the outlook on the profession of policing as a whole, which has and will directly translate into this department's ability to recruit the next generation of talented and diverse candidates. So that brings us to the ask. Why we're here in front of you today, Rotary? Well, we're looking for your expertise to come in afterwards and allow our kids to benefit from your wisdom, your guidance, and your experience. We're looking for your connections to assist us with getting this project across the line and continue to make it even better moving forward. And we're looking for your help fundraising to financially support 2 rooms or essential areas of the facility: the fitness center and/or the multi-purpose large group space, an area that we, like she said about naming rights, would be open to, and we were playing around with the thought of it being called the Rotary Room. So we currently have a good bit of the funding that we need to either build or renovate a site and staff the facility, but we're looking for your assistance with some fringe construction costs and outfitting whatever space you choose, or both. So in closing, and I hope we didn't take up too much of your time, but in closing, we would like to thank you on behalf of our kids, thank you on behalf of the families and this community, and not to mention our department. As we know, the Engagement Center will be a gift that keeps on giving for generations to come in this community and will show immediate impact after we get it up and running. So thank you. Thank you for having us. Appreciate the opportunity to be here speaking in front of you again, and looking forward to entertaining any questions that you may have. Diaz and Lentz, if you want to make your way up.
Watching your program made me think when I was a student in New York City schools, you used to get a visit often from Officer Friendly. Does the department still have a program like that for the city schools?
We do. It's actually, oh, sorry about that. He was actually asking about the Officer Friendly program from when we were in schools. It's funny because one of the most prominent individuals that served in the role of Officer Friendly, Al Fuentes, just recently retired from his second career as a firefighter. So it's interesting that you would bring that up. We have several juvenile or youth focused programs that we do inside of the police department. And honestly, the juvenile engagement program that you may have actually seen in the news or in the media is actually growth or an expansion of the Officer Friendly program, where rather than the bi-weekly or once a month having an officer pulled and visiting a school, we actually have an officer that's dedicated to creating those relationships and forming those bonds on a daily basis. We thought it not robbery to actually pull an officer completely off a shift and have them focus on engaging and working with youth all the time, not just monthly. And thankfully, with some of the funding that we've sought, we will actually be expanding the juvenile engagement program, and we will shortly have 3 officers serving in that role. So yes, yes, and yes, but you will also see more of the traditional Officer Friendly with peekaboo visits coming back too. So great question. I'll go back here and then I'll pop up there. Yes, sir. We're actually still working on that. We have 3 locations, 3 sites that we're in talks with. One is a build and the other 2 are renovations. So we have 3 locations that we're looking at. One is one is on North Hartley, one is on East Philadelphia Street in the area of Pine, and the third one is, well, I don't want to get myself in trouble, so I'll leave the third one alone. I apologize, I don't want to speak too fast on that. But we're actually working right now and we're leaning towards the build on North Hartley. Because we're trying to make sure that, unfortunately, in the environment that we live in right now and what we're dealing with currently in the city, so much is about gangs or about groups or sides of town. So we're trying to be in a very neutral location so that we can be more attractive to our young people, sadly to say. In the next week or 2. Great question. Thank you. Yes, sir. How many local youth groups are being through the center in a given year? We have a target goal, and Diaz, if you want to speak to it more, but we have a target goal of, I believe you said 2. Yeah.
You got it. He just said it. Yeah, our target goal was thinking around 200. Depending on how many programs we're able to offer and the amount of space that we have, we're looking to be able to service at least 200 kids throughout the actual day over 5 enrichments with 25 assigned to each enrichment.
Brother Phil.
You see 400 kids go into initially, what would be the criteria to select the 200 that you consider to be?
He had great question. He said if we're more popular right from the start than what we're setting out for. So if we end up getting 400 kids that show interest when we're looking for 200 or 225, I believe that's a good problem to have. And given the space we're looking to work with and the employees that we're inserting into it, while some of the kids, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Diaz, while some of the kids may not be able to get into certain classes, like Cal Weary's Performing Arts program may be full, there'll be opportunities in other classes, and then there'll just be some data, because of the way we're setting up the staffing, there will be some day-to-day elements that kids can just drop in and come in and participate at any time, like the study hall. You've seen on the previous slide, the study hall library portion, the computer lab, the engagement, some of the more engagement focused, or the fitness center. There'll be an employee that's actually going to be assigned running the fitness center, so that'll be able to be open. And then when we're not having programming in the, I have to say it because it's my favorite word of all time as a previous school employee, the gym cafetorium. So when we don't have scheduled programming in the gym cafetorium, that will also be a recreational space that will be open for kids to be able to come in and participate in. So aside from some of the specialty courses and classes that we have, there will also be just day-to-day recreational opportunities that will exist. And then as we look to, as you know about the cadet program, the paid cadet program, we're looking to create that funnel of future officers by investing in the young people. We're also looking to house much of the cadet program in the facility. So those young people, 18 to 21, will also be able to serve in a mentorship role to be able to have more daily offerings. So they'll be able to keep the lights on, they'll be able to keep the gym open, they'll be able to keep the weight room accessible. Not to mention, I'm really, really excited about the laundry services, because as you speak with young people and you work with young people, you know that those are sometimes the barriers that keep them from going to school and keep them from participating in things. So sometimes it's something as simple as being able to wash your clothes, or being able to go to a facility where you know somebody cares about you and they're not going to victimize you. And we want to be able to service that. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. We're actually with the library. We want to have a library offering, but we have a target as you, let me see if I can hop back here. There we go. So our goal would be to all of the individualized spaces, and Lentz, I don't know if you want to jump in on that, but to actually be able to have all the individualized spaces be adopted. So to have WellSpan potentially adopt the nurse's suite, have somebody take interest in the laundry service area, and the same with the library or research area, to be able to partner with Martin Library to be able to outfit it and have them have a representation there. So we actually, like I said before, as a police department, although I spent a lot of years working with kids, we're not looking to rebuild anything or try to create a new wheel. We just want to give space we want to be a conduit and give space for other individuals who are already doing great things to be able to come and have a safe space to access things, for youth to access stuff. So we're open to and looking for all the partnerships we can get, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, so on and so forth, everybody. And that's just for the youth programming. There's also family engagement programming. We want to also be able to afford and offer space to, like different counseling elements, AA meetings, Al-Anon. So yeah. Great question now. Anybody else? Oops. I'm going to jump with her. Or who did I miss? Yes, sir. Yes. The lion's share of the funding that we already have, which is somewhat substantial, is actually through the Arpa funding. And I think the mayor alluded to that last week. The initial round of funding is about $800,000 for us to get started. And then we will be seeking another wave of Arpa funding. And we actually have not only the city's current grant writer working on additional funding sources, but the mayor has actually brought in a contracted grant writer to help support the program moving forward, because he also feels that it's necessary and wants to double down on making sure that the funding is there. And for the first piece of your question, with respect to partnerships and connections, we are open to and want to be able to either bring in, support the other programs and the other people that are doing youth work in the community. But I get, to sum it up the best, anybody that's doing anything for kids for free. And that tends to, in York right now, that tends to be the issue. There are a lot of program offerings for young people, but there's not a lot that's offered for free. Our doors will open for free. So any of the other programs that are doing stuff for kids, if they have individuals that can't quite afford it, or if we have individuals that could benefit from participating in their program, and they would be open to sponsoring them, that's when you'll see the connections happen. But that's our goal, is whatever we offer, we're going to be offering for free. Meals, absolutely, 100%. So that'll be everybody. That's already worked into the model from Mr. Woodard. Now, with respect to transportation, I'm proud to say that we thought about that. And while we won't have like an entire bus, we actually already are scheduled to purchase a shuttle. So it will be something that's available. So we understand not 100% of all the young people may participate and take advantage of it. But for me, and I think back to when I was a kid before my beard was gray, I had the benefit of going to York City schools almost my entire life, but I also got exposure to how things were done in other school districts because I had an opportunity to go to Central. And I know what I took away from that as a young person going to those two districts with respect to the differences was something as simple as the activity bus. And York City not having an after hours activity bus or transportation option was something that impeded a lot of young people from participating in program or parents feeling okay about them participating. So we wanted to be a little more like Central, a little more like Votech, well, everybody else, I guess Central, Votech, West York, literally every other district that offers an after school transportation option. And we wanted to do that on a smaller scale. So we're actually going to be starting off with a shuttle. So.
There is a question through Zoom.
Oh.
Will there be any programs to help with nutrition?
Yes. Again, that's all worked into the meals and the culinary element. And like I said, that I truly believe that's how you have to make change. That's how you connect with young people. That's how you have to support families. You have to do it by trying to or attempting to meet all their needs. So the activities are nice. The instruction that you're able to offer is wonderful. But if they're hungry, if they are going to go home and their lights are going to be out, if they're dealing with trauma and stress and have nobody there to be able to support them with that, or like I said before, if they don't have clean clothes to wear, you're not going to get compliance. You're not going to get true engagement. You're going to struggle to make a connection. So we want to make sure we're attempting to meet all those needs and have it feel like a home. Yes, ma'am. I'm going to call Lentz up on this one. And here's why. Because as you can tell, I'm a natural optimist. So when I was introduced to the concept of a BHAG, I thought to myself, I am a BHAG. Everything is a big, hairy, audacious goal when it comes to me. So my timetable that I've challenged them with is to have it open by this summer. So Lentz, if you want to talk about the realistic portion. It's like now.
I guess to answer that question, it really depends on the location that we decide upon. Like if we're renovating, then maybe not by summer, but maybe by the end of summer. That's realistic. I know that the one property we looked at, that's very realistic. If we're building new construction, don't know the time frame on that. I would say maybe by the end of the year, but I don't know. Hopefully as soon as possible.
Thank you. They struggle with me for that very reason. I want everything done yesterday all the time. Yes, sir. Middle school to high school. That's my goal. Middle school to high school. To me, those are the, right now, when I look at where our hemorrhaging, no pun intended, where the bleeding is coming from in our community, we have to do something right now for our teenagers. And then the formative ages right before that, we have to do something for them because that's where the investment piece is going to happen. But we have to stop the bleeding with the individuals who are dying and carrying guns right now. And then that next generation right before them, we have the potential to alter their course. So that middle school to high school age bracket, not to mention it's also easier than to facilitate programming together. So great question about the ages, supporting the different ages. Yes, Miss Ashley. Yes, yes. I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm just having one big conversation and I'm forgetting to repeat the questions. She was asking about being able to offer shower areas or areas for them to be able to wash up to support those individuals who do struggle with housing insecurity. Yes, that's already a piece of the plan that we have actually discussed, was being able to meet that need because it is that important. Yes, sir. Okay, I was going to give that to Lentz, but so this is an inside the department piece. And what I mean by that is, how do I create even more engagement? How do I motivate more officers who may not be like me or may not be a Dan Lentz? How do I get them in the building? How do I get them there for them to see the activity and for our kids to see them and help to increase the security level of a program like this or a facility like this? And that's by bearing evidence, the evidence area, moving it, right? Currently, right now, it's in a dilapidated building on the north end of the, south end of the city that needed to be rehabbed anyway. So underneath it all, or on the backside of the engagement center, there will also be the new evidence area for our department. That then allows me to sneak over the camera budget that we need, that we had already assigned for the evidence area. That allows me to slide in a bunch of officers who otherwise may never really thought they were going to go participate with kids and have people seeing them. And it provides me free security just because of the natural comings and goings of them having to drop stuff off. So yeah, we're not going to talk, if the media's here, we're not going to talk about that piece out loud because my guys don't know that. They don't know that piece of the why. So Brother Tate. Okay, so great question. He asked, he said, obviously it feels like a lot of this program is directly related to the work that we're doing with respect to gang, group violence prevention, and the guns that our young people are having on the street. So what do we do for those individuals who are participating in gangs? How do we account for them? How do we account for the ones who aren't, who are going to then be cross-pollinating with individuals who had been, and then potentially then bringing firearms and weapons? So that's the neat part, I think, that we bring to the table with being what we are, that it's a police department sponsored engagement center. One, I think they know, the parents know that there's no way to hide it. You still know where you're coming to. You're still coming to a place that cops are going to be coming and going all the time. You're still coming to a place that my patch is sitting on the billboard and you know what it is. So that portion is always going to be there. I can't turn off the fact that I spent the last 22 years arresting people and chasing people down on the street. I made my last gun arrest like a month ago, and I have a staff of 100. So that part never changes. I think there's going to be an expectation there that people know that there's a certain level of conduct and decorum that has to exist. And then the practical side is there will always be officers around. So the engagement may be nicer, but the conversations may feel better, but there will also always be officers around. So when I say about it being a safer space, it is truly going to be a safe space for that reason. Now, what I will say with respect to those individuals who may be involved in things in the street, I want them. I want them, because the difference between that kid and the kid who isn't participating in stuff or wasn't the difference between the 14-year-old who's doing good and the 14-year-old that we just arrested who had his second gun on him, the difference is generally a lot of times a decision or two. I could very well have been the same guy, my 40 some odd year old counterpart who's locked up right now. I could have been him. Just the difference is a couple of decisions here and there. So, and if it's a couple of decisions here and there makes a difference, then a couple of conversations, a couple of role models, a couple of interactions with somebody like him could be just what we need to turn some things around, because they're still just kids. 50% of all the problems in York are just kids. So, thank you.
We're very excited about this program. Thank you so much for that wonderful overview of what your vision is, what your dream is to do this center. And we're very excited to be a part of it. We're very excited too that we'll have mentoring opportunities. So we'll be able to physically be there too, offering our expertise in programs that are being offered at the center. So we're looking forward to that. Commissioner Muldrow kindly signed the book plate for the book Fly High, John Glenn by Kathleen Kroll, and we're going to donate this to McKinley Elementary School. You heard Leanne Wilson talk at the top of the program a bit about what our program is going to be next week. Again, it's Ross Gibby from CRDC Global. You'll learn how CRDC is creating value from the world's plastic waste through an innovative solution that begins with the recovery of disposed plastic and ends with its use in concrete construction projects. At the core of CRDC's impact is a patented process that accepts all types of plastic waste and converts it into a range of concrete additives and eco aggregates that can be used in a wide variety of products. So it was founded in 2018 and they're already in 8 countries. I hope you'll join us for that program next week. In closing, our quote today is by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. We cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can always build our youth for the future. I hope you have a great rest of your week. This meeting is adjourned.